Start again.
Okay. Welcome back to another episode of the Rock and Rise podcast. This is season 2, episode number 4. And we have a very amazing guest here, a dear friend of ours, Jodie Forestell. She's a nutritionalist and a forest therapy guide, among many other things that we'll get into some more detail about all of that and what led her to this. And yeah, we're excited to have you here. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for the invite. I'm super excited to be here.
Jodie's also our first guest that we've ever been able to have in our studio, which is Jocelyn's den. So it's kind of fun to do it in real life.
Yeah,
I like it.
I like it too.
Yeah, awesome. So Jodie, I'm just gonna hit up one of these questions here. What got you into becoming a nutritionalist and wanting to pursue that?
Yeah, so I kind of consider this my second life. It took me a while to figure out what I wanted to be when I grew up.
As it does.
Yeah, it really does. And, my husband and I, we had our kids young. So, I was figuring out parenthood before I was figuring out myself. So he went to work and I waitressed in the evenings and weekends. It worked for us. It's not a glamorous gig, but it worked for us.
Yeah.
It was great money. It freed me up to be at home with my kids and greet them off the bus.
Yeah,
and
that's awesome.
have some spare time during the day, which I used to go to the gym to do some fitness classes. Love fitness classes, still love fitness classes. And I was in a position where I was like, I really like doing this. I should teach this. I could teach this.
Yeah.
And then get paid to teach classes, get a workout, and not pay a gym membership, right?
It's a win-win-win.
It was totally win-win-win. So in the process of researching that and trying to figure out how to become certified as a fitness instructor, I came across a free online course through CanFit Pro. It was called Fundamentals of Nutrition, I think. They might still offer that. If they do, I highly recommend it. Mm-hmm. And took that because it was free, and it completely changed the direction in which I wanted to go.
Yes.
I was totally hooked. Yeah. I was fascinated by the power of food in the body over top of, fitness. So started my certifications that way, then enrolled in nutrition school. And, the knowledge got deeper and the certifications got bigger, and I'm still continuing to grow and to learn. And I love it. Now, that said, I have gone back and gotten the fitness instructor and personal training certifications, but nutrition is where my heart is.
Yes.
It's where I feel like I can have the most impact.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And it's good to have the other things too, because it kind of rounds you out as
yes.
I don't know if coach is the right word,
yes.
But yeah. You have the whole picture, right? Not just one element, but it's clear that the nutrition is what you're super passionate about.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that when I look back, I say jokingly that it took me a while to figure out what I wanted to be when I grew up. But I think when I look back, I think I always knew health and wellness has always been important to me. It's been part of my life. I can remember growing up that, I'm going to age myself here, like in the 70s and 80s, all the kids had white bread. We had brown bread, We had Brussels sprouts on peas and beans on our plates. and so it's always been a thing. Chips were a big treat. We didn't eat out. It was so
yeah, you kind of grew up in a healthy.
I did.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And so I love health and wellness, and I've really enjoyed the journey that I've been on in the last, 5 or 6 years, becoming to here I am.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. That's great. And then that kind of led you into the forest therapy as well.
Yeah. So as a holistic nutritionist, and with my clients personally, I try to coach them on the 4 pillars of health, with nutrition being the founding part. And then there's the fitness, there's exercise or movement, there's stress release, which is kind of where the forest therapy comes in. And then there's sleep. So those are the 4 pillars that I really concentrate on. And with the forest therapy, that's something that only in the last couple of years I've gotten my certification in. It is the most beautiful practice ever. If forest therapy, forest bathing, they're the same thing. They mean the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
When people hear forest bathing, if they've never heard of it freaks them out a little.
Yeah, they're like, what are you like taking your clothes off in the forest, running around? Like if they think it's something very, it's not.
Yeah, it could be.
It could be, yeah, but with you, it's not.
No. Yeah, forest bathing. It's from the ancient practice of Shinrin Yoku. It started in Japan in the 1980s. Shinrin means forest, Yoku means bathe. So literally translated, it means to bathe in the forest. And it's really just immersing yourself in nature, trying to calm your mind, be present, which is really hard to do. Slow down, sit quietly, and use all of your senses to do things like listen to the leaves, smell the air of the earth, feel maybe the drops of dew on a leaf, listen to the bird song. Anytime we can really get out into nature, it's extremely powerful. In my experience as a guide, I've really found that people are very moved and very surprised how healing it can be for them. It takes them by surprise. Mm-hmm. They're often like, I don't know what's going on right now, but and it's something that you can do on your own quietly, or you can find a guide in your area and do a more structured sort of practice. Usually the walks are 2 to 3 hours. Sounds like a long time, but it goes very, very quickly.
It does.
It's lovely. I absolutely love it. It's health benefits. It brings your cortisol down. Anytime we can do that in our very busy lifestyle, that's completely going to benefit your health. It can boost your immune system. It has great health benefits. Research has shown that people who spend more time in forests and in nature spend less time in hospitals. I believe there's doctors can write prescriptions for this now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. It's very, very cool.
Yeah, it's becoming more and more popular.
Yeah, the world needs it.
Definitely does.
So.
Yeah, for sure. Dave, you've been very quiet. Do you have any burning questions?
I'm just listening and learning and enjoying it all, and for those watching or listening, so I'm kicked out of the studio, sort of in a sense, and I'm just upstairs, which is kind of neat. So we're all in the house together, but no, I did want to touch on or just make a comment regarding that being in nature, and it's pretty awesome. Personally, I'm learning more and more how beneficial it is just to be out in on a trail or out in the forest. And I said this to Ali. I was out for a mountain bike ride last week, just at Trent at the university up in the Dropland, just riding the trails. And I stopped for a few minutes just to make a video. And I was about to get back on the bike and continue. And there was no one around. There were no sounds of external noises like traffic, people, kind of the busyness of the urban lifestyle or whatever. There were none of those sounds whatsoever. And I was telling Ali this, that I had a moment where I stopped myself and I sort of said, basically said, well, like, I don't have a timing right now. I don't need to be anywhere. I don't have to jump back on the bike and get moving again. Why don't I just stand here and be in this moment and just listen to wind blowing through the trees and the birds, and just kind of embrace, the breeze on my face, and just stop for a few minutes extra and take in what I'm sensing, what I'm feeling. And I was really thankful that I, allowed myself to have that time, just standing in the woods and just kind of embracing being in nature and being away from, like I say, all those kind of external sounds and noises. And I'm really trying to do more and more of that, because I really feel like I get a lot out of it personally. And I think more and more people should, in my opinion, because it's amazing what you can get out of it, but just standing and listening to the sounds of being in the woods. That's all I want to
Yeah.
add for now.
Yeah, no, and I applaud you for doing that, because often people will say, "Oh, I walk in nature all the time," and I mean, anytime we can be in nature, no matter what you're doing, is going to be beneficial. This is just a little bit different. It's almost like a little bit of a meditation, which it sounds like exactly like what you did, right? It's not even a meditation; it's just really clearing your mind for that moment and just being present in that moment, right? Whatever you've got going on after your walk will still be there, and it's just trying to really embrace and enjoy and connect with nature, because we often forget as human beings that we're nature too, right? We often forget that and it's really important to not forget that, and to understand that. And sometimes people love it and some people don't, and what I find most is what people have is a bigger and a deeper appreciation for nature after they've been in the woods or in the forest with me, and that's great too, right? Even if it deepens their love for the environment a little bit, gives them a little more, they think twice maybe before they're going to cut a tree, or
exactly.
So it's beautiful. I love it. I'm grateful that I stumbled upon it when I went for my training. It was an 8-day intensive training in the woods. It was amazing. And one of the fellow participants asked me, they said, "Oh, like, when did you do your first forest therapy walk?" And I said, "Oh, I've never been on one." And they said, "You've never been on one? How did you know you want to be a guide?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I just knew."
Yeah.
So yeah, I felt a little silly. I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess I've never really been on one before," but it's lovely. It's gaining traction. The world needs it. And it's very, very helpful.
Yeah, it is. And it's surprising too, because it can be a bit of an emotional release for people, or sometimes emotions come up because you're finally giving yourself a chance to sit and be quiet. And sometimes things that you're not expecting might surface or bubble up, or you can become emotional, which is totally, absolutely okay. And you can be supported in nature or by you and the other people there, because it's often a smaller group of people, right? My experience was it was a smaller group of people, so there's an option to share if you want.
Yeah.
You don't have to, there's no pressure to, but it's I think sometimes people are surprised by what kind of comes up in those moments, but it can be really healing.
Yeah, and it is that emotional release. And I think what it is people are so used to being so busy, right? We're never in the present moment. We're always thinking about where we need to be, what we need to cook for dinner, what appointment we have, when we're picking the kids up for school. We never stop, right? We never process all those things.
Yeah.
And so when all of a sudden someone asks you to go and sit by a tree and feel the breeze on your face or the sun on your face, and smell some dirt and hug a tree or whatever, to not make it sound too kooky. You don't have to do any of that. It is an emotional release, and it takes people greatly by surprise. Yes. And then they're almost at first a little bit embarrassed by it. But usually the people that come on these walks, they're so graceful and they're so kind, and it's a hugely safe space and supportive space. And it's not about fixing, and it's just about being. It's lovely.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the one I've been on, and I want to go on more.
Yeah, I hope you're always welcome.
Awesome. One of the other questions I had, kind of to go back to the nutrition a little bit, is what I would love to know your thoughts on the link between mental health and nutrition, because I think there's some key things that I'm sure you know way more than me, and I'm curious about your thoughts.
Nutrition, as it's good for your physical body, people don't realize really the connection to your mental well-being. And when you're nourishing your body with good food, your physical body, at the same time you're nourishing your mental body, for lack of a better word, your nervous system. When we're under stress, we burn through our B vitamins and our C vitamins very, very quickly. Those things need to be replenished. You can't out supplement a bad diet. You have to get things from food, your omegas, your vitamin D, lots of good protein and lots of healthy fats. And all of those things are going to nourish your brain and your hormones and your neurotransmitters all of those things. So in particular, I mean, I can speak from experience. I went through a bit of a weird time myself, mentally a little while ago, about 6 years ago, and I didn't know what was happening, but I was all of a sudden feeling anxious and I didn't want to go anywhere, and I just was not feeling well, and I was not feeling like myself. And I was really quite grateful for really the nutrition and the holisticness of that to fall back on. And because I wanted to try and do everything I could myself first before having to go on any kind of medication. And I am fully not against medications. They are life-saving, they are necessary. But I just didn't want to have to do that until I tried to figure it out myself first, see what I could do holistically myself. And what I found and what I learned a lot about was the gut and how important your gut health is, and the connection between your gut and your brain. And there's this nerve called the vagus nerve. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. Yep. And it's a really cool thing. I like to tell people to think of it as a communication highway between your gut and your brain. And we assume that our emotions and our thoughts and all of those things come from our brain, but they're not. It comes from your gut. It comes from all the bacteria. Your bacteria is influencing how you feel. So when your gut is not well nourished and you don't have a diverse, diversity in there, it's going to affect how you feel, how you perceive the world around you, your mood, if you're feeling up or down or whatever. It's a big deal. Mm-hmm. So only 20% of communication is going from your brain down to your gut. It's 80% of that's going from your gut and influencing your thoughts and your actions. And 90% of your serotonin is made in your gut, and your serotonin is your feel-good hormone, right? That's
kind of what's feeling bad. Yeah, you're going to be in this constant cycle of anxiety and all sorts of other things.
Yeah, I mean, they say all disease begins in the gut, and I truly, there's a lot of research being done on all that, and there's lots of different ways to nourish the gut, and really having a nice, diverse bacteria in there. There's lots of ways you can increase that, and I can go over some of those ways, but diversity is key, and that's what's going to just keep you feeling well. When you nourish your gut, you're nourishing your whole body too, right? With all of the different healthful foods. So it's a big deal, mental health and nutrition. And I wish there was more knowledge and more education available to people, because what happens is often is what I see with my clients even is when they come to me, usually I did not get into nutrition for weight loss or to help people lose weight. It's kind of falling that way, but I try to focus on, well, let's get you healthy and then the weight loss will happen. But what else happens is that they notice that they feel better mentally. Their heads are more clear. They're not nearly as irritable. They sleep better, right? It's all connected, right? Like those 4 pillars of health: the sleep, the nutrition, the stress, and the exercise. They are all connected. You can't have just one. You have to have them all. And that affects your physical health and your mental health. Sometimes I think it's your mental health and then your physical health, to be honest. Sometimes, right? So
no, that's fascinating. I think there's not enough people talking about that, or maybe I'm not looking in the right places about learning more about that link, but that's really cool. And I think we should keep talking about it. So if you're if a client comes to you, do they have to get blood work from their doctor and then send it to you? Or if you have a new client starting, what does that look like for somebody?
Yeah, so I'm also a metabolic balance coach, and through that, blood work is done.
Okay.
It's not necessarily a weight loss program, although that's what people come to me for that program. It's about getting their hormones in balance. What happens is their labs are taken. We do a really in-depth talk of their past health history, food intolerances, allergies, medical issues, medications they're on. Then we get their labs done. I take all of that information and I send it to the doctors in Germany from Metabolic Balance, and from there a food plan is made for them based on their labs. So foods are picked out for them specifically. Okay. It's pretty cool. And then from there, I work with my clients for a minimum of 6 months, and we work because things come up. There's no quick fix.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, yeah, it's because it's going to be a lifestyle change for them,
and
right?
that's it.
And it's the focus on wellness. It's not just about going on some diet for a couple of weeks and dropping some weight and then yo-yoing back up and down. Like that's not what you're about, and that's not a long-term sustainable thing. Like, and I'm glad the world is starting to change.
It is. It's starting.
Slowly.
It's starting. It's hard because when it comes to health and wellness, and when people want to look better, to feel better, the first thing they want to do is join a gym, right? That's the first thing they want to do, and they want to go to the gym 5 days a week, and they want to work as hard as they can. And it's like, or we can work on your food first, but that's harder to do, right? Asking someone to change their diet or even a little bit, it's like asking them to learn a new language.
Yeah,
it's way easier to go to the gym than it is to learn how to eat healthfully, and I get that. I do.
But you can't outwork a bad diet.
You can't.
You just can't. I'm sorry.
No, and I think this is why I switched from the fitness direction to the nutrition direction, because I was completely fascinated with the power of food. In fact, in my program, I don't actually allow my clients to go to the gym for a minimum of 2 weeks when they first start. Yeah. Some people love it.
Yeah.
Like, are you telling me not to work out?
do you get any pushback where the clients are like, yeah,
especially from
when
women.
I have one of your clients, I
pushback. They'd be like, the reason behind that is in the first 2 weeks of the program, the body is going through a lot of stuff. We don't want to stress it out more. We want to see what your body can do on its own without exercise. It's not, and I'm not saying no movement, they can do yoga, they can go for a walk, they can do things like that. It's just that the hard cardio, or they can do some gentle lifting if they want to do that. But it's nothing that's really going to spike their cortisol, because exercise and fitness, it's a major stress on the body, right? And when we overdo it, we actually end up being counterproductive of what we think we're doing, right? When people are like, I exercise 5 days a week and I'm not losing any weight. It's like, well, let me tell you why.
I rushed 50 kilometers yesterday.
That doesn't count. You're that would
get in jail.
I know.
Get in a jail-free card.
Well, that's why when you did your 35 the next morning, I was like, okay, here's your protocol for healing right now. So
I guess.
Yeah.
It was good.
The body is a beautiful, amazing thing, and the things it's capable of doing and heal. It wants to heal. That's what it wants to do, right? And I think we overthink it sometimes. I think we forget that we're human beings that just need to slow down and relax and eat food. Nobody has time to cook. Nobody has time to do all those things that the body craves and wants to do. And it's unfortunate. And that's kind of what my program is about. It's finding the time to do those things. And if you can't, then, or you don't want to, then sometimes it's not that I question, like, okay, you're not in enough pain yet, right? Like at some point you're just gonna be like, okay, and that's usually when people come to me,
when
where
people are maybe forced into a position of changing, like something health wise maybe scares them into thinking, okay, I really need to make a change here, and then they come to you. Do you find that?
Yeah, and it's usually their labs, right? Or someone telling them that their cholesterol is high and now they've got to go on medication and statins for that. And that's a scary thing, especially as people age, they start to realize that they have less time left on the planet than, they're going the other way, and they're having grandkids, and they just want to be around for those. They want to be able to lift things on their own and do things and just be well. And you can't abuse your body your whole life. And when we're young, we do it just because your body just keeps going. Yeah. Right. It just keeps going. And then all of a sudden it reaches a point where the cup is full and it's like, I'm done.
Yeah. We got to switch things up, and your body can relearn how to do some things, but it may take a bit of time.
Yeah. And I truly wish that, it was more, like what I do is more accessible to people, with coverage and things like that. I wish I could work directly with more, doctors in the Western medicine world, because I think between the holistic and the Western, it'd be a powerful, powerful thing.
Mm-hmm.
Doctors, they do the best they can, right? They're triage. People come in, they get 5-10 minutes with them. And people go to these doctors and they just want to be fixed, right?
Yeah.
They don't want to hear or be told what they can do. They want to just be like, here's a prescription.
Yeah.
This is going to fix
This is
it.
going to help you sleep, or this is going to, and not to
That's
think there's anything necessarily wrong with that, because not that we're knocking medication, because it has its place and stuff, but I think what you're saying is it could be more of a teamwork, like the holistic side and the Western medicine side working together, instead of it seems like they're working against each other in a lot of ways. Not every doctor, of course, this is a blanket statement, but it could be more of a what's the word I'm looking for?
Just more cohesive.
Yeah.
It could be more teamwork is a great word. And it's unfortunate, because if someone, the reason I think for me, when I went through my little mental health crisis 5-6 years ago, my biggest fear of going to the doctor and then being prescribed an antidepressant or whatever wasn't so much that. It was just never being able to come off of it.
Yeah.
Right. And so sometimes I ask people, okay, well, how long did your doctor say you were going to have to be on this particular medication? And they look at me like it's a forever thing, potentially, right?
Yeah.
And that's disturbing to me. And like I said, I'm grateful for our healthcare system in, Canada. I'm glad to have it. I just wish that more people could even be more responsible for their own health, right? And but we're busy. People are busy. They don't want to make a salad. They don't want to cook their dinner.
Yeah.
I get it. I really do. I have weeks too where it's like, I think, this is why people pull fruit out of the freezer from a box and put it in the oven. Because so
sometimes you don't have the energy, and I guess every once in a while, and we do too, like we eat pretty healthy, but there's some nights where it's like, we're getting a frozen pizza and then maybe a salad, and it is what it is. And there's some nights, especially on like a Sunday afternoon, where I'll be like lounging on the couch thinking, oh, I can't wait for dinner. And then it's like this little light bulb goes off in my head. I'm like, I'm the mom. I'm making dinner, even though I'm 37. It's like, I always have this little glitch where it's like, oh man, that's me again. Like, I'm obviously grateful to have that privilege, but at the same time, it's like, sorry, nobody's going to be making this for me, except for Dave. The last 2 nights, he has made dinner, and I have been sleeping on the couch.
Well, that's very well earned.
And he does.
You earned exactly. You earned it. Yeah.
And Dave does help. Like we both cook, and we often do it together. So it's not like it's always on me, but it's just like that classic kind of like mom feeling like, oh yeah, I'm gonna figure this out.
Totally.
Do this. Yeah.
And I love cooking, and we just came off of a 4-day gravel bike ride. We had a great time, and it was one of those things where all I had to do was get on my bike and ride. I didn't have to plan anything, think anything. There was no cooking, and it was wonderful, right? I mean, I think sometimes I've said to my husband, I think sometimes I enjoy going on vacation. Often when we go on vacation, we go grocery shopping because I just can't not. But when I don't have to cook and plan, like that is amazing.
It's like a real break, because that's what you're also doing for your clients, right? You're making up their meal plans, and do you sometimes cook for them? Like, is that
no? If I had the time, and I would love to be able to do that, but I don't. I mean, I share my recipes and make meal plans for them. And stuff,
and that's time consuming enough.
Yeah,
that'd be something.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, it would be. But cooking it's time. It is.
It's time consuming to clean up after and everything. So
yeah. But you have to do it, and I tell people you either have to, there's meal services, like what's the one, Fresh or whatever? Is it Fresh, where they could bring your meals to you? You order it online and then you cook them at home. Is that what it's called? Fresh.
I think it's HelloFresh.
HelloFresh, yes.
And people say, they go, well, yeah, but that's really expensive too. And I'm like, well, you're either going to pay for it in time or you're going to pay for it in money and have someone to do it. You cannot get around prepping meals.
Yeah.
If you are cooking in your own kitchen, I call the kitchen the nutrition lab. Yeah, I know, right? That is more than half the battle to living healthfully, right?
Yeah.
Even if there's things that, if you can't exclude things out of your diet when you're cooking, then just try and add some things in. You said the frozen pizza, and you said maybe a salad, right? Add a salad in there, or throw some arugula or something, frozen pizza, or I don't know, like, anything where you're gonna add, some sliced cucumbers or peppers with the craft dinner for the kids, or chicken fingers. Like, I get that people are busy and they're exhausted, and people's kids are in so many sports. We did the same thing. I totally understand. But trying to find some time in the kitchen a little bit, it has to happen. You have to know where your next meal is coming from. It's I always say meal planning is a gift to your future self. It is. It's when you know what's for dinner, or you know that you've packed a lunch, or you've made some overnight oats and you know you don't have to worry about your breakfast in the morning. It's a big deal, because when you don't have that, and then all of a sudden you're hungry
and you're hangry and you're turning into a different human and your husband is afraid of you.
Yes. My husband has been known to say, maybe we should get you something to eat.
I often get a warning, a text message on their way home, or a call on their way home with a little bit of a warning or a heads up that
I'm hungry.
just says I am hungry, and I know, I got to get, at least at the very least a rice cake with some peanut butter on it, something that can get in that lovely woman's mouth pretty pronto,
as fast as possible.
so she doesn't become a different human being.
Yeah, and I do, and it's not pleasant, and I don't like it.
You're not alone.
Yeah, I think it's a common thing. It comes with a bit of panic, because it will lead to a headache and stuff. And I think a lot of people feel that way, and it's a funny joke. But I went out to dinner. I won't name the restaurant because I'm not about to bash a bunch of places. But we went out to dinner with a couple of girlfriends last Friday night, and it always takes us. There's like 5 of us who get together, and it's like we plan it like 2 months in advance to get everyone's schedules aligned, right? So we're looking forward to this night, me and my girlfriends, and it was really busy, but we did have a reservation for this restaurant, and we didn't get served at all for like 20 minutes. I go up, get a waitress to come over. She takes our drinks. The drink order is wrong. We don't care. We're like, whatever, we're getting food. And then we order food. Everybody's food comes except for mine. And I was already when we got there, I was already starving. So that was my own fault. But at the same time, I'm like, we're going out for dinner and I want to be able to eat as much as possible. So long story short, they give away my pizza to a different table. I have to remake my pizza. And we were there for 90 minutes before I got food. And I was raging, and not all the girlfriends had seen me rage out before. And I was like, I'm going to flip this table upside down. And I was just being ridiculous. And they thought it was hilarious, and they were egging me on. And it was quite the experience for everybody. And the food came, and I survived to tell the tale. And I will say that I was never rude to the waitress, because she was busy, and I get it. Stuff happens. But in the moment, I was like, this is terrible.
Yeah.
So, we all get the hangry pains. And
we do. And and that's a blood sugar crash, right? And it's a crash, because as soon as you eat something like carby, you feel better instantly.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? As soon as you reach for the cookie or the chips or the crackers or whatever it is you're reaching for, because that's what your body wants. It doesn't want anything fat rich and protein rich. It wants something that it knows is going to turn into sugar like that
immediately.
Right? And then so I applaud the rice cake is with the nut butter on it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But then that's what I say to people. You don't have your meal when you get home with the kids and you're hungry, and have some cheese or some olives or a rice cake with some nut butter or something like that can at least get something into everybody's belly to avoid that major blood sugar crash and everything that comes after that. Yeah. No, everybody goes through it. I go through it too, right? Yeah. It's unavoidable. It's real life. But when we can plan as much as we can, then we avoid those kinds of things. Yeah. You do feel better. It's better. It's better for everything and everybody.
It is. Yeah. So yeah, amazing. Dave, do you have any questions?
Yeah, well, a couple thoughts actually, and I wanted like I'm just enjoying like this educational piece and this whole just listening to Jodie, do her thing and I think that's a big piece to this is educating people on nutrition and it's kind of unfortunate, but I think a large percentage of the population really don't even know what they're sort of missing out on in life when it comes to proper nutrition, and they don't know how great they could feel and how many things they could take care of just through their diet. Um, and it's kind of unfortunate. So this is it's really great to listen into and to hear and get this educational piece because I mean, yeah, so much can be affected through your diet. And like I say, many people they just don't know what they're missing out on. They've gotten stuck in a rut for so many years, just sort of going through the same meals and thinking they're doing the right things. And as you say, maybe yeah, going to the gym, they're exercising, they're getting sleep, so they think they're doing the right things and they think they're on the right track, but they're missing that key component, and that is most likely the diet portion and nutrition portion. So they may not even be aware of just
Yeah.
how much greater they could feel and how much greater, when we talk about the mental health component and how it correlates, goes hand in hand. They just may not even be aware of just, yeah, how much better they could be experiencing life and how much better they can be doing for themselves. So I'm, like I say, I'm just really enjoying this educational piece, and I really hope that, well, I know a lot of people are going to get a lot out of this, and yeah, like I have, probably 10 people in mind right off the top of my head that I want to kind of push this out to have them maybe think twice about what they're eating and how much better they could feel as a result of just making some simple changes in their diet. And yeah, like you said, it does take work. It's not, it's yeah, it's easy to come home, grab something out of the freezer, or throw it in the oven, or just get the fast food on your way because you're tired. But so it does take effort and it does take work. But I mean, yeah, your body and your mind is going to thank you for it in the end. So again, I'm just really enjoying the what I'm learning here. So it's great.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't even, it's the cooking element too. A lot of, I think, the way as generations have gone on, a lot of people just don't even know how to cook anymore,
Yeah.
right? They think, and that's unfortunate too, but it doesn't have to be hard. My go-to meal generally is like, well, I love to cook, but I'm a lazy cook, right? So depending on the day, right? But if we're busy and through the week, I'm like a one pan meal girl, right? So I've got
meal too.
chicken and usually extra, so I have some for my lunch the next day, a vegetable or a sweet potato, and then a salad, right? And that's dinner. And it's just as easy to throw some bone-in chicken breasts on a pan, slice the sweet potato in half, put that on the pan, and then make a salad and put some olive oil on that stuff as it is to open a box, and to put that on the pan and put it in the oven. It's the same thing, right? I think it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing, but one, you're going to feel so much better after eating it, and the other one, you're probably not going to feel amazing and be hungry like half an hour later, right? It's not going to sit the same.
Yeah, your body is going to appreciate the chicken and the vegetables so much more than they are the processed frozen food. And it doesn't have to be all the time. I often will challenge people. It's like, just pick 2 meals this week. If you never cook, pick 2 meals that maybe you're going to try and cook this week. Just start slow. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. Right? It doesn't. You don't have to jump all in or just plan your breakfast for the week. I tell people, keep breakfast the same every day. Keep it simple.
Smoothie every day.
Right? Smoothie.
The last 5 years.
Yeah. I'm a smoothie girl as well. I'm a big smoothie girl. My husband's a huge oatmeal man. He makes his oatmeal with his blueberries and mango every single day. Right? Good. Yeah. He loves his oatmeal. So keep that simple, right? Take the thought of that when you're making your supper, make some extra that you can take with you. Some people can't, they don't like leftovers. I think of leftovers as a free meal. Right?
Yeah, it's already made.
Cook once, eat twice too, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
And then you do the best you can slowly, and you will feel a difference.
Even making like those small differences, and then that fuels the bigger changes along the way, right?
It does.
You start to get those small wins. You're like, oh, I actually do feel better. I think maybe I will cook tonight instead of go out or whatever. And the snowball effect starts. Do you find a lot of clients, when they're kind of going through this process, learn maybe stuff that they're sensitive to or intolerant to along the way? Like they start to actually feel better, and then they notice like, oh, I actually, my stomach hurts every time I eat an almond or something. Like, do you find that happens?
Huge. It happens all the time. So especially on this particular program with metabolic balance, is they're given quite an extensive food list that they can choose from, and for the first 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or whatever. This is the kitty. He's fine.
She's just trying to eat the cord. It's fine.
Basically, what happens is if you're going to remove anything from your diet, let's say dairy, right? If you're going to remove the dairy from your diet for 2 weeks minimum, and then all of a sudden you start to one day introduce that back, and you're sensitive to that, you are going to notice that so much more than if it's something you were consuming all the time.
Yeah.
Already, because your body adapts. It's going to go, okay, let's just deal with this dairy and then move on, right? So, but when you eliminate that, all of a sudden the body goes, okay, good, we're done with that. If you put it back, it's going to be, it's just going to have a bigger reaction. So I know that I see that all the time.
Yeah,
I really see that all the time, especially on this program when they start to have their week, like a treat meal, right? They're like, oh, I'm going out to my kids for a barbecue or whatever, and they say I had a hamburger and I had this and I had French fries and I had this, and I felt like garbage after, right? Their stomach hurt, they didn't sleep, they had a headache. One way you can tell if your food is not serving you well is really pay attention to how you feel after you eat something.
Yeah.
Right? If you feel tired after you eat, you're supposed to feel tired after you eat. Right? If you have a stomach ache, or you're really gurgly, if you have a headache, if you're like going phlegmy all the time, if you're feeling a little bit stuffed up, that's all inflammation from something you just ate.
Okay.
So, I always tell people, keep a food journal, but also for a little while, but also then pay attention and write down how you felt after.
So you can narrow it down.
So you can really narrow it down and pay attention to that. And you'll be surprised how you can do that just on your own, and how you can really figure if that food is serving you well or not.
Exactly. And it's interesting because your body just gets used to feeling a certain way, and you just assume that that's how you're supposed to feel all the time. I think especially as you get older, you're just like, oh, I'm just this age now and I just feel kind of sluggish or whatever.
Yeah.
But then when you start taking things in or out of your diet, and you do start to notice, that happened to me specifically with almonds a few years ago. I figured out that
in your stomach, did you?
Yeah, sensitive. And it's like if I eat almonds, I feel nauseous but also crampy in my stomach. It's like a really weird, and I'm still mad about it because it's such a great snack and I just want to eat them.
There's lots of
nuts. I know. I like, cashews are good, but they're so expensive. So anyways, but that's why I wondered, like, so you notice that
totally
people are having that all the time.
It's actually one of my favorite parts of working with people, when all of a sudden, they're doing really well, they're feeling well, they're sleeping better, their energy is up, they're dropping some weight, right? They're just feeling really good about themselves. They're wearing clothes they haven't worn before, and they're excited to go out to their favorite restaurant. It's not their favorite restaurant anymore.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, I'm sorry, but yay, right? Like you figured out what you what you can't eat, right? And whether or not they eat it again is up to them, but they know what the consequences are. I love it. I love the education and the knowledge that people learn about themselves and their body and the connection. There's such a big disconnect in how people feel after they eat, right? It's like you said, they just assume that they always feel tired. If you're feeling tired after you eat a sandwich at lunchtime, maybe the next day try a salad with no bread. That
See how it
Right.
goes.
Keep the protein and the fat and the salad and all of that on there. But just take the bread out, see how that serves you right.
Yeah.
You shouldn't feel tired and sluggish and need to have a nap after you have a meal.
Yeah.
It's not why we eat. We eat for energy.
Yeah. It's the opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your favorite meal or food to cook?
Okay, so I have two answers. So my desert island food would be French fries and gravy. I love French fries and gravy.
It's classic. It's delicious.
It's like, that is my treat meal. My favorite food is probably chicken and a salad. It's just easy. It's nourishing. It fills me up. That's probably, I think that's kind of a boring answer. But
if you feel good when you're,
I think that's,
and you can change it up, like, right? You can put so many different dressings and different things on it. So.
Make your own dressings, people. If you need a recipe, send me a message. I will send them to you.
I will.
I'm sure about dressings.
Yeah. They're delicious. Also, your focaccia bread is so yummy.
I'll make you some next time I see you. Store-bought dressings they're not good for you. I don't care how good the label says they are not using healthy oils. And making your own dressing takes 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's so easy and it's so yummy and it's so fresh and it's so much more nutritionally sound. So stop buying store-bought dressings.
Okay. If there's anything they could take away from this episode. I mean, there's many things that they can, but if that's the simplest thing that somebody can do, amazing. Dave, do you have any thoughts?
Lots of thoughts. But still enjoying learning so much and getting so much out of this. In all honesty, yesterday was for me personally. Yesterday was a prime example of what my lack of proper nutrition did for me. I mean, Allie did her 50-kilometer ruck march yesterday, which was incredible, great accomplishment. And we sort of prepped and planned all the way, leading up to that, including nutrition. So what she was going to need to fuel her through that, 50-kilometer. So what she was going to need in the morning and what she was going to need throughout the day. What I didn't factor in for myself, sort of in that support element, was what did I need to fuel myself, being, alongside or being that support person. So, we were up at, 4:45 in the morning, and it was going to be a long day. And so, we made sure that we had everything packed that we needed for Allie. And, I had some breakfast, but I neglected to sort of meal prep for myself, being out away from the house for the entire day pretty much. So I ended up really just kind of snacking on sugary stuff for most of the day, and it really impacted me. And then I went out and rode the mountain bike last evening just for a little bit, and I felt awful. Like I just felt terrible. I mean, sure there's other factors in there. The sleep wasn't that great, and it was a long day with everything else going on. But I know for a fact that my diet and nutrition played a key portion or part of that feeling just so crappy. I felt really tired. I felt really sluggish. I had heartburn. I had some indigestion. And even after, like, my mental health, I rode the trails a little bit. I wasn't feeling great on the bike. Effort was really hard. And I came back to the car, and I was just in the parking lot, and just kind of had a breakdown, to be honest. I think just emotionally everything kind of came to me, but I'm quite certain that my nutrition for the day played a big part of how poorly I felt. So I mean, yesterday for me was a prime example of how you can listen to your body and know when you've put the wrong things into it. And I know exactly what I should be putting into it. And Allie and I, for the most part, we eat pretty healthy on most days. But yesterday was one of those days where, personally, my nutrition kind of took a back seat, and I paid for it. So It's
and that's normal, right? And that's okay, right? You guys you had a big day yesterday, and that's real life.
Yeah,
right?
the focus was on me, and we had all
That's
my
right.
stuff planned, and Dave didn't. There were snacks there, but there was nothing substantial. Like all the snacks were things that I could eat while I was moving, and you know, to get the little sugar boosts and stuff along the way. So, yeah, we didn't have any like substantial meals for Dave planned, and he was with me or meeting me up ahead on the trail to fix my feet and stuff. Like he was busy all day, you know, and organizing people to come and stuff. So he, just kind of, they both kind of forgot, and yeah, he paid for it yesterday.
Yeah,
and that's just it. Sorry, I was just gonna say, like, it takes being on a proper meal plan or a proper, like, eating well. It's sort of it takes that, you know, learning curve, I suppose. It takes being on a consistent path where you're eating well, to know your body and to have the knowledge, knowing what works for you and what doesn't work for you, and to really, you know, be able to feel when you've put just crap into your body and recognize that that's why, you know, you feel the way you do. So there's a learning curve in there with, you know, when you're on the right path and then going to okay, that was a poor choice for my body to fuel myself.
Yeah, that's just one time. That's just once in a while for you guys, right?
Yeah.
And what I heard there was that you recognized and you have made that connection. A lot of people don't. And that day for you yesterday is a lot of people's every day, right? So, I mean, that's real life, right? What you guys had going on yesterday, that was a lot of stress. There was lack of sleep. There was, of course, your cortisol is going to be spiking. Of course, you're going to have sugar cravings, right? Even without the exercise. And then you went for a mountain bike ride. So, you know,
we both decided that it probably wasn't the greatest idea.
So
as soon as I came home, I said, I think I should have stayed home.
And we talked about it. I said, this is what I think happened. And
but you learned from it, right? And you recognized it. But I guess, you know, that's awesome, right? So that's what I heard, is that you guys are very aware. You have that connection to how you feel, and you know when you're doing good things for yourselves and when you're not. And a lot of people don't. And that's kind of what concerns me. And then when they don't feel well, they go to their doctor, and the doctor can't help them because they don't have the time or the resources. Yeah. And it's just this crazy circle. So and cycle, and it's just, it's unfortunate. So you have to make time for your wellness, right? It's not what they say. Make time for your wellness, or be forced to make time for your sickness. Exactly. Yeah. And it will catch up with you. It just 100% will. Yeah. In some way, shape, or form. So mentally, physically, whatever. It's a big deal. Nutrition. It's everything.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, for sure. So how can people best kind of take care of their gut health?
What I'd like to tell people is, if they think of their gut and how they want to nourish it, think of your gut as, I always say, a rainforest, right? So a rainforest has lots of diversity, lots of flowers and mosses and plants and trees and tons of different things happening in that rainforest. So if a pathogen comes into that rainforest, it's not going to kill the whole rainforest, right? It might take some of the moss out, might take a couple of plants, maybe a flower or two, but the rainforest is going to survive. It's going to win over the pathogen. On the flip side of that, if you look at a model crop like a cornfield, it's the same thing. Row after row after row. If a pathogen comes into that crop, it's probably not going to survive. So when you have a nice, diverse bacteria in your gut, the good guys are going to outweigh sort of and take good care of you. Now, ways to nourish that and to nourish your digestion in your gut. First thing, chew your food. We don't chew our food enough. I am fully guilty of this. I eat way too fast. Way too fast. So people need to slow down, right? Chew their food. Take a few breaths before they even start eating their meal. It's called rest and digest for a reason, right? That's their parasympathetic nervous system. making sure you're adding in lots of diversity through different plant foods. If you aim for maybe, this is going to sound like a lot, if you aim for like 30 different plant foods in a week, sounds like a lot, but it's not. Different colors, right? Your beans, your herbs, your spices, your legumes, your whole greens, all your veggies, those all count. If you actually in a day count how many different plant foods you eat, I bet you'd be surprised. Sleep is a huge way to nourish your gut, believe it or not. If you're not sleeping, you are healing nothing, right? Including your gut health. Trying to aim for 7 to 9 hours a night, which sounds like a lot again, but very, very critical. Full stop. You got to get your sleep in order. It's almost as important as nutrition, if not, I dare say, more. Try to limit your added sugar. People get hung up on eating a lot of fruit because they think it has so much sugar in it, but fruit also has your fiber, your antioxidants, your vitamins, your minerals, even hydration. The only time sugar in fruit is going to be a problem is when you have a lot of added sugar already in your diet.
Yeah.
Right? If you eat a little bit of sugar and you already have a nice diverse bacteria in your gut, it's no big deal. It's not going to hurt you. But the bad guys of the bacteria, they feed on the sugar. Yeah. They love the sugar. And generally you want the good bacteria to outweigh the bad bacteria so they can sort of keep the bad guys in check.
Yeah.
So limit your sugar. Stress, that's where the forest therapy or yoga or going for a walk or your mountain bike or whatever it is, like you really got to find a way to maintain and relieve your stress, empty that bucket.
Yeah.
These are all things that are going to affect your gut. And of course, eating, probiotics are always a good choice. If you want to buy one over the counter, I always say look for one in the refrigerator section. You can, yogurt, sugar-free yogurt, kimchi, nut cheeses, fermented nut cheeses, sauerkrauts, things like that are really good. If you're new to fermented foods, add them slowly. You will feel it. If you add too many too quick, maybe. So you want to be careful there. Getting outside, right? You're gonna gain a lot just from the diversity of the trees and the plants and the dirt. Dirt don't hurt. Let your kids play in dirt. You start to develop your microbiome the moment you're born.
Well,
right?
Yeah. That's perfect. Josh came home today and said, I got so muddy today, I had to wash my knees at school. And Dave was like, oh, what were you doing? He was playing in the mud. So there you go. He's already on the right track.
It's so true. And people don't let their kids play in dirt, right? You want to, then they get the antibacterial soaps. Just use soap. Try to avoid the anti stuff.
Yeah.
Need
some.
Yeah, anti is against life, right? Like antibiotics, probiotics. Anti is against life, probiotic is for life type thing. You can think about it that way. Kissing supports your gut health, so be careful who you kiss, because a 10-second kiss transfers, I think it's like 80 billion bacteria between partners. Choose wisely. Choose your partners wisely.
Do you hear that, Allie?
I did. Can't wait to make it later, David.
All I heard was more kissing. That's all I got. More kissing. That's all I heard.
More kissing. Yeah.
More kissing.
It's gonna be a wild night.
Yeah. Are y'all recovered, are you? Yeah. So there's lots of things you can do when you incorporate those 4 pillars of health. That's all supporting your gut health.
Yeah.
It really is. Just, eating well, managing your stress, getting lots of sleep. And people don't associate those things with their gut health, but it's a big it does make a difference.
Yeah, that makes sense. Awesome. Jodie,
so I was just going to say, sorry, you made an interesting point about chewing your food, like that rest and digest. Honestly, unfortunately it was just within the last few years that we have some really close friends of ours, very health conscious. We've learned a lot nutrition wise from them and fitness wise as well. They're just down the street from us, and we are often over for dinner. And yeah, it was like a close buddy of mine, and I was sort of watching him. It sounds weird, but I was sort of watching him eat, his meal one evening, and we're having a lovely steak dinner and all the vegetables and things like that. And he would take a couple bites, and then he would just kind of sit back and just chew really really well, and then just take a few minutes, sip of water, sip of wine, and then take another couple bites and just and chew, and then just sit back, and it seemed like a long time getting through your plate, but I think most of us are used to, unfortunately, just used to, like, yeah, just kind of like, yeah, mowing it in and shoveling it into ourselves. And so it took me kind of studying that to learn that you really need to slow everything down and actually, like, well, for one, appreciate what you're eating, but also just take that time to, yeah, just slow everything down, and yeah, enjoy the meal a little more thoroughly. And it does, it makes a big difference when you're just sort of you know having little bites and then just giving a little bit of a rest, let that settle, and then keep going. So it was,
Yeah, your
yeah,
stomach. Yeah, your stomach doesn't have teeth, right? So
right.
when your teeth and you're chewing your food is the only opportunity that your body mechanically has to break down that food, and we're so busy, like, eating while we're driving or in front of the screens or whatever. I mean, I'm guilty of it as well.
Mhm.
I do my best. A lot of growing up, we used to pray before we eat, right? Even it's just those few minutes of offering gratitude for your meal, taking a minute to, like, right?
Mhm.
And exactly as Dave said, just, I make a conscious effort now to take a bite of food, and I put my fork and knife down and I put my hand in my lap while I chew it, because if not, I'm already, like, putting
Yeah.
the next bite of food on my fork while I'm still chewing what's in my mouth,
Yeah.
right? So your stomach will, and your digestion will appreciate it.
Okay, that's a good tip. I like that. Jodie, where can people get in touch with you? Social media, if anybody wants to reach out, if they have more questions, or if they want to learn more about your offerings and stuff like that.
Yeah, my Instagram is probably best. I'm on Facebook as well, but it's at Jodie Lee Nutrition and Wellness. My website is jodieleenutrition.ca. So that's probably best. Usually Instagram I'm on Instagram.
You're on the gram.
I'm on the gram.
You are. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
This has been really awesome. I really enjoyed getting to hang out, and, like, the real in-person vibe is really cool.
Yeah, it's great. I feel honored to be sitting in Jocelyn's den and to sit here and be your first guest in person. Yeah. So that's awesome. The kitty here, and
yes, Rue's been helpful as usual.
She's a stress reliever.
She really is.
She is
my coping mechanism.
Yeah, she always knows when one of us is having a bad day or something, she'll come over and lay on us and purr. Well, she likes to snuggle anyways, but she knows, especially when Dave lately has been a bit more upset and stuff, she'll just go over and lay on him and purr, right? Purring has been proven to lower stress levels. So,
and they're smart.
Yeah, they're pretty smart, and she's pretty sweet most of the time, so she likes to be involved.
Animals will also help your microbiome.
Oh, that's right. Okay. You heard it here first.
That doesn't mean we need to get more animals, though.
No. Oh, I don't want any more animals. I spend enough time with all the dogs. I don't currently have the desire to get any more animals, which is weird, but
yeah, Jodie, this was great. I learned a lot. I knew I would, but this is just fantastic. So really appreciate you coming to hang out downstairs while I'm upstairs. I love it. It's good. It's a neat change.
Thanks for giving me your seat.
Of course. Yeah, honored to.
Yeah, awesome. All right. Well, everybody, if you want to get in touch with Dave and I, you can find us on Instagram. Is probably the best place, which is Rock and Rise Podcast. And you can also email rockandrise@gmail.com. And we love hearing from you, so feel free to reach out. We'll catch you next time.